we got to make changes of some sort. I know a bit of what we can do, and I know what we can't do, of course. And today it showed more than anything else that our rebounding is the problem for a lot of things. They had like 15, 16 offensive rebounds, and we had like four. That's a problem. That is a humongous problem. That is the problem for our team. And the first time the whole playoffs, I would say, it showed to a huge game-changing level. Because I felt like we could have won this game. I feel like we really could have. I feel like we could have stole this game 3 and would have been good for our other game. Would have done our job, and then game 4, maybe we could steal that one too. We had opportunities. We didn't succeed. I would like to mention one thing, though. I was watching this game with my dad. First time he's really watched a lot of Thunder games, and just this series in general. There were very, very questionable calls, and a lot more questionable no calls for both teams. There's a time in particular that Shea, he said he elbowed Derek Jones Jr. in the face, right? They say he did. It clearly, in my opinion, did not hit him in the face at all. But they called it a foul. Other time, I think at one point, I'm not sure. There's some other point. Luka looks like he elbows Dort in the face, and he falls back for that purpose. And they don't call anything. That's just one of them. I think there are some plays that PJ Washington could have got fouls called for him that they didn't. So it's not just the Thunder didn't get calls. It was both teams weren't getting calls. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the refs were very crappy today throughout the entire thing. There was at one point they made a good call. It was not a point. There was a point later on in the game that Derek Jones Jr. clearly had the ball, and he knocked the ball. I mean, he clearly lost the ball out of bounds. He clearly touched it last. And for some reason, they called it out on Isaiah Joe. Makes no sense, but they did it because, well, they hate making good calls. One thing that annoyed more than everything else is how much Luka complains. And I'm not saying just like, okay, every star complains. Jason Tatum complains, Bron complains, Giannis complains, Embiid complains, Jokic complains, Shea sometimes complains. I get that. But Curry complains, but like, Luka, this genuinely annoyed me as I'm a Thunder fan, of course. But overall, I am a basketball fan. And as someone who's played on basketball teams throughout my life, I am very annoyed whenever a player gets a foul, says he should have been fouled, or he says it should have been a call. The possession still works. PJ Washington hits a three-pointer, and Luka goes over to the ref and starts trying to do like this, trying to get a tech call on Lou Dort, who he said he flopped, even though it didn't really look like a flop, from at least the angles that we were shown. He's trying to do it like this, and he's complaining to the ref after his team made a good play, and he made a good play to PJ Washington, and he hit a 3. That irritated me more than anything else. I'm not sure how people like Luka Doncic as a player. I genuinely don't know. Maverick fans, you got to explain why you like Luka Doncic. Because he complains every single game. He does not routinely play like the best player on his own team. Kyrie probably does. He's the more scary player than Luka Doncic. PJ Washington is the best player on the Mavericks right now. He scored 27 points today. He's playing like Kevin Durant. It's not fun to watch because I had Kevin Durant and he left us, so it's very upsetting. But like, they're making shots. They didn't make a lot actually today. Last game they made a lot of shots. This game they really didn't. We blew an opportunity. We really did. One thing, Chet Holmgren, get out the three-point line. If you're not going to shoot threes, get into the paint. Because I'm not saying that as like, oh, you got to get down in the paint. That's the one thing you can do. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying for rebounding purposes, you're our tallest guy, and you stand at the three-point line half the time. 80% of the time, most of the time. Because you're running screens, but a lot of times, the screens automatically lead to a Shea ISO. I thought that we had a lot of extra passes that we shouldn't have had. There's a lot of times you have to make the extra pass. I know that's a thing. But we made too many of those today. There were times that we would kick out and Dort would be open, or Joe would be open, or Wiggins would be open. J-Dub would definitely be open. And for some reason, they would pump fake and drive and kick out again, which would lead to a rotation. Probably be Luka because Luka's slow getting back in his rotations. So we give him time, and our decent looks we're not taking, and we end up rushing We end up going through it, and we rush a bad shot late in the clock. And yeah, we had a 10-point lead at one point in the third quarter, and I thought, okay, we're going to go ahead with this. We should be able to close this game out with Giddey, because Giddey was actually doing pretty good at that point. And then we just didn't know how to play offense. We just gave up. This is one thing. I hated that Charles Barkley said that we played like the Spurs in Heat, with the prime Spurs and the Heat, which were every single game we're going to play the exact same. That is for one guy only, and that is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's that. He plays the same thing every day. He got 31 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, something like that. That is a Shai type of performance, and he looked like he was loose in warm-ups, and he played like that today. Good on him. Great job, Shai. I knew he was going to have a good game before. Giddey didn't do that bad today, I'll be honest. First quarter, Giddey's not that good. That's why I say he should come off the bench. Yeah. J-Dub, at one point, he got hurt. I thought he wasn't going to be able to come back into the game. He couldn't stand at one point. Then 8 minutes later, he's running down the court. Confusing, but I understand. I got to talk about this one point. Why we kept fouling Derek Lively, and I get the strategies, hack a Shaq type of thing. But Lively just made 2 in a row at one point, and then you foul him again, and he gets other points. Once a guy makes 2 in a row from a spot, you have to know not to foul there, not foul him again. Give him another minute at least, a few possessions, and you can go back to that strategy. I've seen that happen with Ben Simmons. I've seen that happen with Shaq. Once a guy starts making free throws, though, you got to stop fouling. That's what happens. I know Andre Drummond, that happened a lot with him. He never hit his free throws. DeAndre Jordan never hit his free throws. Ben Simmons would very rarely hit his free throws. Shaq maybe very late in the game, but they wouldn't foul him late in the game like that. That's just how, that's like, I don't understand that. Kyrie cooked this at one point, by the way. That's why he's scary. With Luka, you can control a little bit. You can be very, very physical, and you can mess him a bit. Today he shot 7 for 17. Not the most efficient game. Had some bad turnovers. Had some bad plays. Lou Dort used all 6 fouls on him. He did okay offensively. Made a deep 3, Lou Dort did, but overall not that good offensively. But that's his job, is to be defense. And we should not ask him to do offense, but since no one could shoot and no one was willing to shoot, he had to try to play a bit more of an offensive role, which only Isaiah Joe was able to fill. Isaiah Joe did really good, and I don't know why we don't run more plays for him, and I don't know why we can't just let him get the ball and score. He is our version of Michael Porter Jr. in a way offensively. He's athletic. He can shoot from anywhere. He can make mid-range, make the 3. We just don't give him the possessions like the Michael Porter Jr. get. And he plays the same role. So, what are we doing in that realm? Casey Wallace, okay game defensively. 3-point shooting, he was fine. Gordon Hayward, I asked that again. What does Gordon Hayward do for a team? I don't think anything. I really don't think he does a thing. Dado Gafford didn't play a great game. Derek Lively played a solid game. Mostly because his free throws that we gave him. He can't hit anything that's not a free throw pretty much. He can dunk. That was a travel though, but he made the dunk and they didn't call the travel. That was another one. 4 steps is a travel in the league. I don't care. 3 steps, gather step. I get that. 4 steps is a travel. Should have been called. Thunder players are calling that a travel. Yeah. I wish I could think of more Mavericks plays that were should have been called type of things in their favor. But I can't because I'm a Thunder fan, so I'm not going to remember those type of things. You understand? But also, one thing this was, I think, a turning point. We cut at the 3. Isaiah Joe had a really bad play. We had a bad turnover on Luka. That was just his fault. But we ended up kind of evening it out, and we had a second chance. Shai, I think, tried to shoot a 3. Ball gets tapped. Shai tries to kick out to the corner. Ball gets tapped around. It goes up, or it just goes up in the air. Luka and Dort go for the ball, and they meet at the top. They both fall. The ball's still loose. Dort gathers it, passes it to J-Dub. Looks like he's going to get a possible layup out of it. But the refs stop the play and say it's a jump ball, which never in that occasion there was more than a 1/10 of a second difference. There was more than a 10th of a second that they were both holding onto the ball. That is not a jump ball. That is called a loose ball. If you want to call a loose ball foul on someone, be my guest. Because that's a crap call if you do that. But this is a crappier call because when they went into the air, they didn't have the ball together. And when they fell, they didn't have the ball together. The ball was still loose. Lou Dort ended up getting the ball on the ground. And somehow Luka got the jump ball, by the way. And then Shea tried to hit a three. It didn't work. Another possession. And then Kyrie did what Kyrie does. And he closed out the game for them. Yeah. Officiating was terrible on both parts. We could have done a lot better. Rebounding was a huge problem. I know in the comments you're going to hate me. I know you're not hating me. You're loving this. We still got game 4. We played a bad game today. And we still only lost by 5. Let's go out and win game 4. Bring this back home. Let's get this job done. I believe in my team. And the only thing that can save us today is a Cavalier victory. And if you guys are wondering why I like the Cavs a bit, it's because of Donovan Mitchell. And if you guys want to guess, if you guys want to say, oh, you're not a real Donovan Mitchell fan or anything like that, you've never been a fan of Donovan Mitchell, we never mentioned him before, I have his Louisville jersey. If you were a fan of him back then, you're probably a fan of him now. I'm still a fan of Donovan Mitchell when he was at Louisville. So, and I paid for this, by the way. He was one of my favorite players. It was Westbrook and D. Mitch. Those were my 2 favorite players. Westbrook's off to the Clippers. I wish he could have come back. But this is a sad thing. I still feel confident. Let's get the job done. Let's get a win in Dallas. Let's go Thunder. I know we're down 2-1. Still believe in our team. Just, man. I want to figure out if you're a Dallas fan, what makes watching Luka Ball enjoyable. Unbiased. What makes watching Luka enjoyable? Put that in the comments. Hope you have a great day. Stay safe, y'all, and God bless y'all.